Hello and welcome everyone to the Silverstone Circuit at the British Grand Prix for the first round of the Group 2 Championship race at the Corona Classic Cup. So welcome everyone to this very astonishing Grand Prix that we're expected to have. Alright, so this circuit was the very first circuit that ever hosted a Formula 1 Grand Prix. That's an interesting little topic that I kind of wanted to bring up for a second. But yeah, the first race, of course, was in 1950, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on if we get the chance. But this circuit is actually quite long. It's only 5.891 kilometers long and 18 turns that make up the entire circuit. Now, there is 2 DRS zones around this beautifully designed circuit. One on the Brooklyn Straight, I do believe it's called the Wellington Straight actually, and one on the Hayner Straight. So those two will play a very pitiful role in today's race, and we'll definitely be putting those cameras on those sections of the track. And so with those 2 DRS zones, like I said, it's going to increase overtaking for around here, so we'll definitely be looking out to see how those drivers can make those beautiful overtakes that we come and want to watch. So anyway, welcome to the commentary of the first ever round of the Classic Cup Group 2 session here today. The commentary is provided by myself, Broomhandle914, and joining me in the commentary booth, is Blinn Machine. Blinn, welcome to the commentary for the Group 2 Classic Cup race. How are you excited going into this race? What are you expecting from all our drivers out there today?
Hey Broom, yeah, really happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me along. And yeah, Group 2 of classic cars. I have the honor and the chance, you know, to race around in Group 1 with the rest of the guys here. I do see that some of our drivers from Group 1 are racing Group 2 here today as well. So I'm sure that we're going to have an amazing race. It's going to be super close because obviously we know there's a lot of great talent on the track today. But mostly, you know, these classic cars are just so incredible to drive. They're so much fun. The handling model and everything else completely different. You got to really work on your driver skills more than anything else because, you know, there's no DRS, there's no ERS that you can use, there's no overtake button. It's all pretty much down to yourself, figuring out where you can find the speed, where you can get a little bit of slipstream on the car in front. And yeah, it's just a completely different ballpark, completely different game with the classic cars, and I'm sure it's going to be super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting Grand Prix, and as you said, a lot of different things compared to the normal F1 2020 cars that we know and love that we drive on this beautiful game. Like you said, no DRS. That's going to play a very interesting role in the Grand Prix. I do believe, of course, these cars are actually 2010 cars, and the DRS wasn't in F1 till 2011, so that's why there's no DRS. But as you said, that will play a big role in today's race because overtaking will be a lot harder, but also a lot more exciting as well. So the drivers might get all over the back of the car ahead to try and make that overtake. Maybe going for those little aggressive moves to try and make the overtake without that DRS that everyone usually has assisted with them in the normal F1 2020 race. So that'll be a big role. And as you said, these cars are a little bit different compared to the normal F1 2020 cars. They're older, of course. They're actually about 10 years older as we are driving the 2010 cars. And so they're very different handling. The traction is very difficult. So we're definitely going to be seeing some of those drivers out there have some issues out on track. But if you don't mind, let's quickly talk about these cars. Have you driven these cars? I know you and me both race in the Group 1 races. I do believe you drive the Red Bull and I drive the McLaren, and both of those cars are in today's race. How would you say these cars handle on track?
Well, they're completely different to the handling that we've got on the modern F1 cars. I feel like the balance between the power and the suspension and everything else, like the aerodynamics of the car, everything works much better. It's much more balanced off in these older cars from 2010, whereas I feel like, you know, the 2020 cars, they're way overpowered. The suspension cannot handle it. The aerodynamics are limited down by the new regulations. So everything else, everything like that, it really adds to how difficult the newer cars are to drive. These cars are faster. I mean, these cars are easier to drive. They're not as fast as the 2020 cars, but the way they handle is so much more stable. You can really chuck these Red Bulls and McLarens into corners, they will stick. You can put the throttle on a little bit earlier than you're usually used to, and it will still stick. It's a lot harder to get this car to step out, but once you do get it to step out, it's not easy to get it back together again. So I think, you know, in terms of how it is to drive, they're a massive load of fun to drive because you can just chuck it in, you can trust the car, you can trust the tires are going to hold you down as well, and you can achieve some pretty good laps. I think it's just so you know, satisfying when you connect a good lap together on these cars. And as we're seeing in qualifying right now, Tasmania Devil and Danny Boy and Chael Watley, if I'm saying that correctly, they are having a lot of fun on track already, setting 129s, you know, early in the qualifying. We still got 6 minutes to go.
I think that was a great explanation, Blinn. I gotta agree with everything you just said there. These cars are amazingly difficult to drive, honestly, but also amazingly fun to drive as well, as they bring out that original classic sense. And that's exactly what we're going for here in the Classic Cup. It says it right in the name, actually. We're going for that classic feeling of these classic F1 cars. And I think this really, these cars in particular, the 2010 McLaren and the 2010 Red Bull, really show what type of F1 cars these cars are made of. So it's going to be really interesting. Something I quickly wanted to bring up, and Blinn, I do believe you mentioned this sometimes a little bit earlier ago. The sound of these cars are absolutely incredible. Now, of course, the V6 engines that are in the F1 2020 cars are great, but they aren't like these sound of these beautiful, I do believe they are V8s or the V8s, and I do believe these cars are, of course, different engines. Now, in 2010, Red Bull were running the Renault engine, and in 2010, McLaren were running the Mercedes engine. So, different engines for each team, and I think it's going to be a very interesting championship to see how this works out for everyone. And as I just mentioned as well, the sound will really get those guys in with that nostalgic feeling of those classic races.
Yeah, and those two cars in those times, they were very, very equal in terms of when you look at their performance on paper, you know, exactly the same weight of the engine. Both engines only weigh about 95 kilos. Both of them have 2,400 cc's, 4 valves, fuel injected, naturally aspirated. No real difference there, but when you look at the actual performance at the end of that season in 2010, the RB6 had 19 races and 9 wins and 15 pole positions. They were pretty much on pole every race out of just 4 except for 4 races. And then when you look at the McLaren, in the same 19 races, they only had 5 wins with only 1 pole position. So somehow this RB6, with maybe the aerodynamics and all of the other magic that Red Bull know how to do, it was just much more stable on track.
It absolutely was. I mean, Red Bull literally, that was the 2010 season was the first season I felt like Red Bull were a serious title contender. And they literally were. Won the championship, won both championships that year, and continued to do so all the way up until 2013. And as you said, Red Bull were on fire, winning almost every single races. And you said McLaren, I do believe you said they only won 5 races. So that, I think, just sees the difference between both cars. And as you said, the aerodynamics on the Red Bull were much better than any other car on the grid. And I do believe the chassis was also a great thing. Adrian Newey was a driver that really helped out with that and really made this car a great car. And of course, they had Sebastian Vettel at that team, a great driver to go on and take home the championship, his first of 4 world championships. So absolutely incredible. We're just going to see how these guys can do. And of course, this is the first round of our Group 2 Classic Cup. So maybe one of those guys in those Red Bulls will turn out to be the Sebastian Vettel of our time in 2021. But anyway, let's quickly talk about those drivers. And also, one thing I quickly want to mention is in today's race, and I do believe throughout the original races, this is kind of how the cars handled. The Red Bull, and this is very good information, by the way, the Red Bull is very good through the corners. The McLaren is really good on the straights. Now, that is the difference between both cars. Now, they are similarly equal, but as I said, the Red Bull is good through corners, and the McLaren is good through straights. So it's going to be a mix to see how this works out. So the McLaren technically has its own DRS. That's how powerful it is. But the Red Bull will be better through the corners. So it's going to be very equal, but it will be very mixed within different conditions on the track. But let's quickly talk about these drivers. Blinn, who would you say is on fire at the moment as we come into the final minutes of qualifying?
Well, I do know a couple of these drivers, like Tasmanian Devil and Porchy Dude. We've raced with them in a couple of other leagues before, so I know that those two guys for sure are going to be up there. They're going to be quick. I was expecting YouTube Mergen to be a little bit quicker than he is right now, because I was actually here last week in the practice round 1, or practice race that we had in Brazil, and me and Mergen were fighting it out for about half the race. Now, one guy that just set a pole position time, Danny Boy, 129.621 right now with a pole position provisionally. He was absolutely massively quick in Brazil last week. Me and him were battling for the win of the race for pretty much like the whole 18 laps that we've had to do last week. So I'm expecting Danny Boy and Tasmanian Devil definitely... Tasmanian was just disqualified from the session.
I think he did that on purpose. He usually tries to do that he usually likes to try and go from the back of the grid. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how that worked. I'm not sure why I think that's probably the reason why he got disqualified, unless you saw something else. Did he maybe spin around and couldn't get back on track in the front way, or?
It kind of looked like he might have been stopped on track, so that might have been it. I know also Tasmanian is massively quick, and he does like to do last to first challenges, so that might have been his strategy there. Maybe he did it on purpose, but we'll have to wait and see. But that moves Chilwati into second position onto the front row to battle it out with Danny Boy at the start there. So that might be a little bit of a curveball there for both Danny Boy and Chilwati, and for Tasmanian Devil as well, for sure. Chil just crashed his car out on purpose there. Porchy Dude, he's still out there. He's got 25 seconds to make it to the line, and he'll be able to start another hot lap, but he is cutting it very close. He's just coming into the last chicane right now of Vale.
Let's see if he makes it. He's got 13 seconds remaining. I think he's going to make it, so that's good. Let's just, we'll ride on board with him and see how this works out. But as we were saying, yeah, Danny Boy absolutely on fire in that practice session at Brazil that we did last week. And I think you said that you had a great battle with him throughout that entire Grand Prix. So let's just see if he can have a good battle with all these guys. And we'll just see what happens. And of course, as you mentioned as well, Charlie Wote in the Red Bull, I do believe, in second place. He's retired from the session, and I think he was struggling quite a bit because I saw him go off at the final corner. Let's see what happens to him in the race. And then we also got Mad Nathan a little bit further ways behind. He's still in third, and I know he's very good at these classic cars. He was in our very first season 1 of Classic Cup when we did it back in, I do believe, July. So we'll see if he does a great performance here today. We'll just see who can get on to the top performances. But I can confirm, or actually I'll let you all know, Tasmanian Devil is actually a reserve for the Group 2 race, so that may have been another reason why he disqualified, to maybe give the drivers that are full-time drivers a chance to get pole, because he knows that he can get up there. But let's just see what happens to him. But yeah, he is a reserve for the Group 2. Of course, he is a full-time driver in Group 1. And yeah, let's just see how this works out for everyone on track, though.
So, Porchy Dude right now coming into the chicane of Vale, and he's just got Club Corner to round off here. He was very quick through first and second sector, but he wasn't purple, and he goes up a position, up into third place with a 130.335. So we only had the 3 people, and it was the same 3 people that got into the 129s, and that was Danny Boyle, Chael Wadley, and Tasmanian Devil. So I'm excited to see how far from the back Tasmanian can make it on, the first lap or the first couple of laps. Also, the first couple of corners, Abbey and Farm, and all the way up into Village, pretty much, they can be pretty dangerous. I know a lot of people like to, keep it completely flat out through Abbey and keep it side by side, and then into Village, it's a hard braking zone. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, it will be really interesting to see how these guys can go through these the sections of the track that you did mention. Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 3, all that first sector is going to be difficult, because here's the thing, is that there's a lot of traction zones from around here, and these cars do not like the first sector. I can tell you that. I practiced this track actually right before we went into the race just to get a grip of what these guys are feeling on track. Now, I did find, I drove both cars actually. I drove the McLaren and I drove the Red Bull. And I found the Red Bull was much more sturdier through the first sector, but I also found that the McLaren was much more better on the straights. And that's what we kind of mentioned throughout this entire qualifying session. The McLaren is better on the straights, Red Bull better in their corners. But as you said, that first couple of turns, drivers may have a lot of action going into there, especially on the first lap of the Classic Cup race here today.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one, and I really like the fact that round one is in Britain. I think, you know, for as far as classic cars go and as far as classic tracks go, this is a great combination. It's a very challenging track, especially because, you know, even though you have the Hangar Straight, the Wellington Straight, and the newly renamed Hamilton Straight for the start-finish, all three of those with these cars with no DRS and no overtake, pretty much just using your slipstream, there's not going to be much to overtake here. Other than that, it's a track that really requires your focus throughout the whole race. It's a 50% race, so we're going to be doing 26 laps, which is quite a bit. So I'm excited and interested to see, you know, which ones of the drivers can make it through this.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting Grand Prix to look forward to. We have our formation lap, so that's good. We can have a little break here, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything that's going on. Right now, I'm really curious to see what happens on lap 1 because we have no idea what is going to happen on lap 1. So we'll definitely just keep an eye on this and see how this works out. And this, for some reason, there's some sort of glitch with my controller right here that I'm scrolling through. I'm not sure why. I can't get to a other camera setting. Not sure what that is about. It should go back to normal in just a little bit. Oh, there we go.
It happens sometimes. I noticed that sometimes you can click the options button, like go into your menu and come back in and fix it. But there you go. It should be good now.
All right, well, good to know. It looks like there's a few drivers going off. Everyone's going to start warming up their tires. I'm going to ride on board with the race leader. Let's quickly do a rundown of the grid. Blinn, do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it? What do you think about that?
Sure, yeah, I can run through it. So it looks like Danny Boy, again, taking pole position, just like he did in the practice race in Brazil there. Chael Wadi moving up to second after Tasmanian Devil disqualified himself. That one Porchy dude, right at the end of the session, we saw him post good enough lap for third place. Made Nathan there in fourth place. Philip in fifth. Luke Flano in sixth. YouTube Mergent in seventh. Eighth goes to Jay Hansen. Leon in ninth. Kyle in 10th, we've got Carnifex in 11th, Jack the King in 12th, we've got Mel Gaming in 13th, and Tasmanian Devil as a reserve driver starting from the back, but look out for him because, as I've already said, Tasmanian is very, very quick, and we've seen that he was one of only 3 people that managed to get into the 129s in qualifying, so even though he's right at the back there, I know he's got the moves.
He absolutely does. Oh dear goodness! There's 2 drivers off the track warming up their tires, and they will start from the starting grid. But anyway, yeah, gotta continue what you were saying there, Blinn. Tasmanian Devil, one to watch out for, as he's a very quick driver, especially going through the field. Now, here's the thing: is that all these drivers don't have a lot of experience with these cars, as this is the first round of the Classic Cup. Now, Tasmanian Devil, who is a reserve for the Group 2 session here, has already completed 9 races of the Round 1 championship, or the Group 1 championship. So let's just see if he puts that experience into the performance out here today. But you can't count out every single one of these drivers. Who can win the first ever Classic Cup Group 2 race? We'll have to wait and see when we come down to the final lap of the Grand Prix here today. But everyone's going to start the race. Everyone's going to finish their formation lap. Classic Cup, Corona Classic Cup is back. We're here with Group 2, and it's 5 red lights out, and away we go for the Classic Cup race. It's 5 red lights out, away we go. A little bit of glitch with the start there. As that its driver, that's Leon up into P1.
Leon jumping the start there, but he's not technically jumping because I guess, because the glitch, and Matt Nathan got a jump as well, but I'm keeping my eye back on Matt Nathan, on Tasmanian Devil. You keep your eye forwards there on what's going on in front.
All right, looks this. Danny Boy is in original first place as Felipe is already up to P3. What a great start for him. Oh, it's a lot of contact as Felipe's off the road. Wing damage all over the track, and that is major contact. Matt Nathan up to third. There's another driver off the track. I do believe that's Carnifex, and that's Mel Gaming as well. and that also might be Tasmanian Devil down to 13th. I think he still has, he's still trying to get ahead of these guys. His Portugue's down to 12th place. Not good start for him.
That was actually Tasmanian Devil running into the back of Portugude, and both of them spun out. So that was not a great start from Tasmanian Devil. He made his way up to 10th and then dropped his way down all the way to 12th. Unfortunately, but it looks like Chael and a couple of other cars are battling right now.
Oh my
on
goodness.
The back straight here, coming into Village or into Brooklyn. That was very, very exciting.
Yeah, that was very entertaining right there. I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon as Chale will take, a little bit of glitches. Oh, Jay Henson makes contact with Kyle. And look at that, that's Matt Nathan off the track. Matt Nathan off the track at turn 14. He must have had an issue. And Matt Nathan is really struggling now as he's going to come back on track, but he's going to be way down the field now. Danny Boy's in provisional lead. Leon, I'm assuming, will probably give that place back, or if that does not happen, then we'll figure it out at the end of the session. Kyle up to P3.
Oh, Jay Hansen spinning out again. He made a huge dive bomb down on Felipe and then made contact and spun out and then reset himself back on the track as well. So a little bit dangerous driving there from Jay Hansen.
Yeah, that is a little unfortunate for both of the drivers. Yeah, Jay Hansen down to 10th place. And who did you say the second driver was? With Felipe, I do believe?
It was Felipe, yeah. Now Felipe is battling with YouTube Mergent there for 7th place. Oh, and they make contact, and YouTube is a little bit off there. And now he's coming back onto the track, and now he's got to slide back and behind Felipe. And they're still going to be battling here on the Hanger Straight. This is very, very exciting.
Here goes Marine on Felipe's gut pass, and the Red Bull is up into P6 now. That's a great move for Marine. You got to remember, there's no DRS, as we mentioned many times, and so that was just pure pace, pure talent right there to get past Felipe. Felipe's going to try and fight back, though. Red Bull v Red Bull. Let's just see. And, of course, these two are teammates, so you got to remember, don't hit your teammate. That's the golden rule. Marine goes very wide. Everyone going very wide at Cops. Not sure why. Do you think there's a reason why everyone's going wide at that section? Felipe or Mel Gaming makes a move on Felipe.
Yeah, I think Cops is going to be pretty much the hardest corner on this whole track for these cars. These cars give you a lot of confidence, the way they stick to high-speed corners, but then sometimes you can just come in a little bit too fast, and as we know from driving these cars, they have a lot of understeer. We don't have any setups on these cars either. It's all fixed setups, so these guys have to deal with what the game thinks is best, so to speak, and it's definitely proving a little bit difficult. Kyle and Chael, those two are battling so hard. They were battling through the last corner. They made a little bit of contact. Kyle went a little bit wide, but he's still keeping on to third position here. But here goes around the outside. It's Chael thinking into Village Corner. Not quite working out for him there. Going through the loop now. He's going to stick behind him, but he will get the slipstream on this next straight here into Wellington Straight. And he's so close behind. It looked like Chael didn't really get a good exit. Or sorry, Kyle didn't get a good exit, but he's keeping to the inside line here into the next couple of corners, into Brooklands and Luffield. He's still ahead, but you can definitely see that Chael is putting on some pressure.
Yeah, what a great battle we're having here for second place in the Grand Prix. Yeah, Chalawote in third place at the moment, trying to make a move on Kyle. Let's see how this works out. Kyle defending for his life to keep hold of second place. Let's see how this works out. And you got to remember, I do believe that is YouTuber Ryan just about to come up to these guys as well, and Jay Henson just behind as well. Let's see how this works out, but Chalawote all over the back of Kyle. This is going to be very interesting as we come down into the turn 15.
And Leon, who jumped the start, it looks like he waited up for some of the drivers there and let them pass through, because he's now down to 5th place, or it might just be straight on pace. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But Kyle and Chael, they are still going at it now, coming into what is a Vale corner here. Oh, it looks like Kyle went super wide there, but he's keeping the inside line, which is very cool. Kyle is doing a really good job to defend, but it's not going to be enough. He made a little bit of a mistake there, and Chael goes up into 2nd place.
Yeah, Kyle did make a mistake, because he's actually going to try and fight back. They're still side by side. As we come down into turn 3, he's going to send it, but it looks like Daniel Chalawolte is going to try and make a switchback, and here he goes, but Kyle gets up into second place. A late dive bomb worked out for the Red Bull, and look at this. Chalawolte is all over the back. Meanwhile, though, YouTube Marine has now joined the party, and this has become a 3-horse race for second place. Here comes Chalawolte yet again to try and overtake Kyle. This is great racing between the two teammates from Red Bull. Chalawolte just going for the nice switchbacks maneuvers on the driver ahead. Let's see if this works out. Chalawolte does not make the move on MW or Kylet, and let's see if Chalawolte can try and re-overtake his teammate to get back up into P2. Let's see if he can go around the outside of Cops. No, he backs out of that one. Here comes YouTube Ryan as well. This is going to be interesting as a lot of drivers go wide there. Of course, that corner is very difficult as YouTube Ryan is now all over the back of Daniel Chalawolte. And let's see if Marine can get past and up into third or possibly even second. Let's just see how this works out. Oh, as Daniel makes a big mistake there and loses so much time, and he just went off, I do believe, at turn 14.
Yeah, he just made it a little bit too wide there after the corner through Stowe there, and had to go onto the grass, and that means that YouTube Marine has now moved himself up into third place.
And that is great for Marine after starting, I do believe, P6 or P7, if I'm not mistaken. But he's now up into the podium. And let's see if he can actually get further up into the podium, as he's going to be all over the back of Kyle. As maybe that Red Bull looking great pace, but also Kyle's got to worry about not his teammate Chalawolte behind, but Marine. Let's just see how this works out for both of the teammates from Red Bull. Also got to mention Luke Flano all over the back of Jay Henson for 5th place. This is going to be interesting as well to see how that battle plays out. And something else I quickly want to mention was Mad Nathan retiring from the Grand Prix. Nathan has not had the best race here today after spinning at turn 14. And I think he was in P3 at the time, but now he's out of the Grand Prix, so hopefully we'll see him next time out.
And one thing I wanted to ask your opinion on, Broom, you know, at the start of the race there, our predictive strategy was saying that the drivers should make a stop around lap 13 to 17 to switch to another set of dry tires. But to be completely honest, we know that these dry tires, they can last for this whole race without any problem. Do you think people are going to be staying on the same set, or are we going to see some pit stops?
Well, what's interesting about this this sort of race and these Classic Cup races that we keep having is that the tire strategy is very different, as these tires are basically ultra hard tires. They're even more better than the hard tires that we have in the F1 2020 game. As Luke Flano gets past Jay Henson, that's a good move from the McLaren. But yeah, my opinion on this, I'm not sure if these guys are going to pit. If anything, they will pit around that lap 17 mark that you were mentioning. But you got to remember, I think it was at the start of our Group 1 Monaco Grand Prix yesterday, our strategists told us that, or at least my strategist told me that the tires were going to last 39 laps. But of course, that was Monaco, but maybe we're going to see the same thing here today. Maybe they'll go to the end as, oh, Luke Flano and Jay Henson. Nice little battle we're having here. A little bit aggressive, but I think it's still good.
Now there's a three-way battle also here still going on between Kyle, YouTube Marine, and Chael Waddy. All three of them battling for second position on the track right now. I'm noticing a couple of drivers, you know, cutting some corners and going a little bit wide through certain corners as well. I do see that certain drivers have gotten 3-second penalties. So under these regular rules, I guess, even if you do go wide, if it's wide enough, you'll still get a warning and you'll still get the penalty. So that's another thing to watch for, because some drivers might be gaining a little bit of time here cutting some corners.
Oh, and look at this. We got Luke Flano and Jay Henson. Jay Henson really pushing Luke to the line there, and he's cutting a lot of corners. Yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of these guys are cutting the corners, and we got to mention, it's a little bit of aggressive push-off there from the Red Bull on the McLaren. But yeah, the drivers, we got to watch out for the corner cuts, as if drivers do go cut the corner very much, they can actually get penalties, as more aggressive fighting by Jay Henson and Luke Flano, as Luke and Jay Henson are pushing each other off the track. That is not exactly what we want, but of course it is racing. And meanwhile, Mel Gaming and Leon are now catching up to the back. Leon has rejoined us, so that is good. Great to see Leon back into this race. Always, that's Luke Flano off the track, and I think there was contact with Jay Henson. It just had to happen.
3 wide here between Chael, Kyle, and YouTube. They're all together in through the loop right now. 3 wide there for a minute, but Kyle drops back to 4th from 2nd place. It looks like actually he lost the car slightly. He lost the back through Abby through turn 1. And that let YouTube just jump right in there. And now YouTube and Chael are right on each other's backs, and they're going to be very close as they come out now out of Aintree and onto the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, let's just see how this works out for these guys. Yeah, this 3-way fight for 2nd place is amazing battling. We've been seeing it kind of all race long with these guys. But yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see how this works out with who will come out on top. And as you said, Kyle slipped down to 4th. A little bit of glitching with his car, so that might be affecting his result as well, to kind of keep it in a straight line with all those glitches he keeps having. But he's in 4th place as, Marine makes a little mistake. And that puts Kyle actually, the back is Chalawante also makes a mistake. Oh my goodness, Kyle might make a double move here to get back up into P2. Let's just see how this works out.
Wow, that was very close succession there for mistakes from 2 drivers. It looks like, sometimes when you see a driver in front of you make a mistake, you get a little bit too eager to try and get that position, and you might lose the car sometimes. That's exactly what happened there. But now Kyle and YouTube Marine, they're still battling each other, whereas Chael seems to be falling back a little bit. That one Porchy Dude and Leon are now battling each other as well. Looks like somebody went off the track, and Luke is coming into the pits.
Luke is coming into the pits. I do believe that was contact with Jay Henson, and that's what forced him to have to make a pit stop here. So we'll see if that works out for him. Thing I quickly wanted to mention was, Leon did. There was contact with Leon and Mel, and that was actually a clear push off the track by Mel Gaming. He pushed Leon off the track at the last couple of corners there. I didn't see if that exactly was exactly his fault completely, or if he saw Leon he was right next to it. And what's interesting too is that at the first round of our Group 1 race at Britain, we saw the exact same thing with another driver pushing each other off the track at that last turn, and the driver claimed to have not seen the other driver and unfortunately pushed him off by accident. Maybe that was the same situation here, but I just quickly wanted to mention that. Something I quickly wanted to mention before we continue on with the Grand Prix is the race points are very different from the F1 2020 game. So in the F1 2020 point system, we have all 10 drivers scoring. In the Classic Cup race, we have the top 8 scoring as Kyle pits. Kyle's now pitting. That's very interesting. But yeah, just quickly wanted to mention that the top 8 are scoring, so that means the race leader will not get 25 points. He'll actually get 10 points. It's the original Classic point system. It's kind of how it works, and I think it works really well, especially it does in our Group 1 race.
Here comes the Porchy Dude on Mel Gaming, and Jay Henson is right in front of them as well. So this is another 3-way battle that's building up between these 3 drivers. I know that one Porchy Dude, he had a little bit of an incident earlier on in the race when he got spun out from the back on by Tasmanian Devil. That was actually on lap 1. And dropped him back to about 11th place. So now he's doing a very good job of catching up. But seeing those drivers pitting on laps 8 and 9, I'm not sure that's a really great strategy. Even if you did burn out your tires by lap 9, I would just hang on to them for a little bit longer, because you never really know what could happen here in Britain. We could have a safety car at any moment, and then you could have a free pit stop instead. So I really don't think that is the best strategy for those drivers. Oh, his Porchy Dude touches the back of Mel Gaming as they come through cops. That was very, very close to being an absolute disaster there for that one Porchy Dude. And when you're looking from on board with this car, you can really see how much they're struggling with that understeer when they're trying to push the car through the corner a little bit too quickly. You did mention earlier the McLaren has better straight line speed, but one thing I noticed is in the Red Bull, when you get behind the McLaren on the straights, you can gain just as much slipstream as you do from other cars, and you can actually overtake a McLaren even though it's got the additional straight line speed. So I think the best thing for Mel Gaming to do right now is to get right onto the back of Jay Henson to gain some slipstream for himself, and then Porchy Dude can get off his back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this works out. And yeah, as you're saying, the Red Bull, when it gets right behind that McLaren or another car, oh, is that a little bit of contact with Charles Leclerc and Marine? We'll come back to that in just a second. But yeah, the Red Bull behind or another driver behind can gain a lot of time on the car ahead. So it's very interesting. As Charles Leclerc lets back Marine, these two have been battling out for the entire lap. They were side by side through Maggots and Beckett's and through Vale all the way up into the last part. And there was a little bit of contact with Charles and Marine. I do believe that was an almost spin by Daniel Charles in third place. But let's just see how this works out. But yeah, gotta say, to conclude what you were talking about, Blinn, the driver ahead, even if it's a Red Bull, even if it's a McLaren and it's a Red Bull behind, that Red Bull can still gain a lot of time on the McLaren ahead.
Yeah, and not to forget, we do have to mention Danny Boy out in the lead by almost 17 seconds just on lap 10 already. So I think if he makes it up to about lap 15 or 16, he should have a pit stop in pocket to be able to switch on some brand new tires and just, you know, comfortably make it until the end. So yeah, Danny Boy just doing an incredible job. And Chael is pitting as well from third place on lap 11. I mean, if these guys are putting in pit stops into their strategy, I think they're just doing it way too early right now. YouTube is going to have to either respond or he's going to have to keep on going on older set of tires. But Chael is going to drop all the way down to probably about 10th or so. He's also changing his front wing, so I guess maybe he had some damage.
It could have been damage as well, but yeah, we've seen not just Chael's come into the pits. We've seen a lot of drivers come into the pits. And that's very surprising. I think to you and me both, it's surprising because usually in our Group 1 race, we don't see that many pit stops due to the races. Usually, usually the tracks, you don't really have to pit until the end of the race because these tires are so durable. But it's very interesting to see how this works out. Maybe these guys are thinking that they have to pit in this race, or maybe that is the preferred strategy. I'm not particularly sure. I don't remember what strategy it was for around here at Britain. I'd have to remember all the way back. I think it was 3 or 4 months ago when we had our British Grand Prix for Group 1. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this works out with everyone and see what tires, or how long these tires can last for the top runners and for everyone who did pit.
No. Porchy dude just made contact with the back of Mel Gaming, broke his front wing, and then went onto the grass after Cobb's corner, or after Maggot's corner there. So really sucks for him. It means he's probably going to have to make a pit stop now. These cars are understeery as it is, but with front wing damage, they become very, very understeery. But look at Jay Hansen now with all of the issues that he's had in the first half of this race. He is now running in third place with Mel Gaming pitting behind him, Porchy Dude pitting as well. You know, the guys who were running in first and second there, Chael and Kyle, they're back in 9th and 10th. If Jay Hansen can just hold on to his tires and not make any big mistakes, he's going to end up on the podium here tonight.
Yeah, this is really going to work out for Jay Hansen. If he stays in third, if he keeps ahead of Leon, who's now in fourth place, and maintains his performance like this, he could be really up for a great performance in today's race and get a podium as well. We'll just have to wait and see how this works out for the Red Bull driver. Okay, well, it looks like we're at our almost halfway point in the Grand Prix. The halfway point will probably be around lap 14. So that's when, or actually probably about now, actually. We're almost at the halfway point. And it's going to be very interesting to see who comes out in the provisional podium places, because you never know who's going to be in that podium with all these different pit stops. Someone I do quickly want to mention is Jack the King, doing a great job right now in 5th place, and he's doing a great job in the top 5. If he stays there, he's going to get some massive points. I think he's going to be really happy with his performance here today if he finishes like that, but let's just see how this works out.
And Chael is making moves now. He just overtook Felipe there, and now he's right on the back of Mel Gaming YT. He's trying to put on some pressure on him. You can definitely see that the McLaren, whenever it gets into a straight line, whenever it puts its power down, it is way quicker than that Red Bull. But now Chael is going to try and catch that slipstream right behind Mel Gaming. He is gaining a tiny little bit of space on him. He's going to try to go around the outside there. That is a very cool move. If he can pull it off, they have to go a little bit wide, but he does pull it off up into 6th place. Mel Gaming thinks about going down the inside, but now a little bit of a mistake mistake there from Chael. He loses the back, and we have a virtual safety car.
And I do believe that is due to Carnifex off the track at Cops. He's out of the Grand Prix, becomes the second retiree, so that is unfortunate to see. Only 12 drivers remaining in our Grand Prix here today. But yeah, that is unfortunate to see by Carnifex. I do believe he was actually in the 2008 McLaren, got placed there because he joined during qualifying. So that is unfortunate. But yeah, that battle we had with Mel and Chalawote, what an amazing move. I was literally on the edge of my seat to see what would happen. That was very close to contact, but these two respected drivers really respected each other by going side by side and were able to keep that those moves and keep those performances out on track just to a great overtaking.
Yeah, and now Chael is only 1.3 seconds behind Jack the King. He is quite far away from the leaders, and Danny Boy goes into the pits, so he's using that little bit of a slowdown that we had with the VSC. He's currently 23 seconds ahead when he pitted. He was actually 25 seconds ahead of Jay Hansen in second place. So now Danny Boy, and Jane Hansen is deciding to pit as well. So, I mean, it's pretty smart response there from Jay Hansen if he wants to hold on to podium positions, but it still might be cutting it very close to the guys behind them. Leon has just overtaken Jay Hansen. He's going to overtake Danny Boy in just a second here. That's actually going to be super close as they're going to come out right side by side there. Leon is going to be ahead. Danny Boy is going to have to fight back for that position again, but I'm sure with the pace that he's shown so far, it's going to be no problem whatsoever. Jack is going into the pits as well, so I would say right now as it looks, let's take a look at how many stops. It looks like everybody except for Leon and Jack the King, who's making a stop now, have pitted already. So a lot of our drivers making pit stops.
And Mel Gaming and Kyle, I think, or that was the safety car has been called out. Due to that, there was absolutely major contact on the pit straight. Not exactly sure what has happened there. But what I do believe has happened is I think that was Felipe and Mel Gaming made contact. They were both on the edge of the track, so major contact between both of those drivers. But now Leon leads the Grand Prix.
Wow. This is a huge spanner that's been thrown into the works here tonight. It's a huge surprise, I think, to a lot of our drivers, especially to those who have just made their pit stops. And look at that, we're on lap 14. So the predicted pit strategy was saying lap 14 to 17, that's when you should be pitting. If all of these drivers would have held on to their positions until now, Danny Boy would have still been in first place. I think, you know, he needed to hold on to it just for a couple of laps. We've now got Tasmanian Devil and Luke Flano into the pits as well. You know, you don't really gain too much out of pitting here except for fresh tires, but these tires are so durable that really you're only gaining about maybe, you know, a few tenths per lap for the first 10 laps or so of their lifetime. So it's going to be super interesting. The main thing that this safety car is really going to do is going to bunch up our field back together again. Leon is now into the pits, so Danny Boy will retake the lead of the race again. But yeah, it's going to bunch up the field. We're going to have pretty much a nice reset to the race. Danny Boy's going to have to work on building up a gap once again. And I think the likes of YouTube Marine and Chael and Jay Hansen, they will get another chance to fight it out.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see how this works out for all these guys. What are they going to do for this race, because this safety car has now been called out, and this has really bunched the field up together. And now this actually puts Tasmanian Devil back in the fight for the top positions, because he must have had an issue at the early start of the Grand Prix. He's down to 11th, of course. He's outside the points, so he's gonna have to retake to get back up into overtake. Sorry, to get back up into the top 8. So let's just see how this works out for all these guys. But thankfully, this is great news: is that all the drivers that were down in 11th, 12th, are now going to be catched back up to the pack. There won't be any lap cars. It will be a clean last shootout for 10 laps of this Grand Prix. We have the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix, and this is going to be a very, very entertaining last few laps of our Group 2 Classic Cup race.
Yeah, I think for a season opener, for a brand new group that, you know, haven't raced together ever before, maybe some of these drivers have, but as a group all together and in these cars, I'm sure that for a lot of these drivers it's going to be the first competitive race that they've done in classic cars. It's so exciting. I mean, the start of the race, we had some battling. There was groups of cars battling all over the track up until the safety car came out, and now we have a safety car. So that's going to shake things up. It's going to give us a very exciting end to this Grand Prix. And yeah, it's really a pleasure to be commentating on this one so far. It's great for a season opener, like I said.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. We've had a great commentary experience. Like I said earlier on, thank you so much, Blin, for joining us in the commentary booth for a very entertaining Grand Prix that it has been. And as you said, this is the season opener for our first Group 2 race. It has absolutely been phenomenal. It really has. We've had it in everything. I think you've mentioned mostly everything. I mean, there has been a lot of contact, but that's to be expected because you got to remember, viewers, that these guys have never, like Blin said, they've never raced before in a big group together in these classic cars, and this is a very different machine to the normal F1 2020 cars, so expect a lot of incidents. So that'll be interesting. So maybe our stewards will finally get some incidents to do some stewarding on that. I know they've been talking about they need some incidents so they can finally do their jobs. So maybe we'll get that here today, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from what I'm used to at TCR, I guess, where the stewards are praying that they don't have any incidents to review every week. But, you know, I think that's one thing that is great to mention, really. We have such a great group of drivers in Group 1 so far that, you know, even when incidents do happen, it's not something that needs to be reviewed. It's more of a conversation that can be had between two drivers and they can work it out. But other than that, we've just had some incredible clean racing. This is just race 1 for these guys, so I'm sure they will feel each other out throughout the season. They'll know how to make moves stick against each other. You learn throughout the season on how your opponents drive and how your car drives and where you can really gain that additional time and those additional thousands of a second. I mean, we all drive in time trial and we know that all of those tiny little amounts of a second, they all add up together. But I'm hoping we'll get back to racing here very soon.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this works out with all these guys. Yeah, like you said, we should get back underway. It looks like the safety car may... No, it's gonna stay out for another lap. Okay, so we're waiting on those two last drivers. I do believe it's Taz and Luke. And so they'll get back up into those positions. They'll get back up to the rest of the field, and we'll get one more lap, and then we can start our race once again, get underway to see who gets up into the top positions. I'm really wondering who is going to be the driver that literally takes the win here today, because anyone can do it with this very interesting safety car. And as I was just looking down the grid real quick, I saw Danny Boy and his McLaren, and then I saw the rest of the group, which are all Red Bulls. They're all Red Bulls, and the rest of the group are all Red Bulls. As you look down from Danny Boy's car, you can see the rest of the pack, I do believe, are all Red Bulls, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think all the McLarens are towards the back. They're Mel Gaming and Luke Flano are the only two McLarens left standing. The rest of the field are all in those Red Bulls. And, you know, it's very interesting because in this Classic League, we sort of have to pick our car and stick to it. We do have some special events where we use, you know, the Braun car like we did yesterday in Monaco. We've used a couple of other cars before as well. So it's very interesting because these cars, they could be OP at this track, but then you could go to a track like Monza and possibly the McLaren could be, you know, 0.5 of a second quicker. You can never really know with these ones. So I think it's all really down to the driving. Danny Boy is in the McLaren and he seems to be pulling his weight with that car, but all the other drivers here tonight are preferring the Red Bull.
Yeah, I think right now at this British Grand Prix, as you said, every track is very different. This track in particular, if I can remember, the Red Bulls are better for round two, especially through the first two sectors. The third sector is better for McLaren, in my opinion. But as you said, there could be one track where the Red Bull is the quickest car, and then the next track is the McLaren is the quickest car. For instance, with the Group 2 race here today, British Grand Prix, favorable more to the Red Bull. Next race, though, is our Bahrain Grand Prix, and that's going to probably be more favorable to the McLaren with those DRS detection points, all those straights, but then there's also going to be those corners, so that will be more favorable to the Red Bull. So it's just very different. And as you said, Monza is another one that drivers might like the McLaren, they're driving the McLaren, they will be more comfortable with, and then for other tracks like Monaco, all those sort of things will be favorable for the Red Bull. But anyway, the safety car is finally in. We can get underway, and it looks like we've already gotten underway. Danny Boy has led them away, and a great start for the McLaren driver, and it looks like he's going to get underway with a great start from McLaren. Yuki Marine is going to be a little bit further behind, but he might have a chance to take the lead of the Grand Prix. Let's just see how this works out, though.
Yeah, really nice restart there from Danny Boy. He's nicely ahead of everyone. Leon is trying to close up to the back of Chael Wadi, but I'm sure Chael Wadi and YouTube Marine are going to rejoin in that battle that they had at the start of the race here in just a second. Chael is doing a pretty good job there of starting to close up the time, but it's not easy in these cars, as we mentioned many times throughout this Grand Prix. Now watching Kyle here closing up onto Jack the King. Is he going to make a move? He's going to go down the inside here into the loop, into Village. Let's see how he's going to work it out there, and he does make a position up into 6th place right now.
And there's a little bit of contact with Porchy Dude and Jack the King there. I think there was just not enough room. I think Porchy went for a move, but that was just not there. So unfortunate to see there. Anyway, though, Mel Gaming and Felipe are battling now, and Mel is going to try and make a move on Jack because Jack just made a little mistake. They're going to go side by side into Baggett's and Beckett's. It looks like Mel is going to barely get ahead of that Red Bull, and Jack's starting to struggle as it looks like Felipe makes a move as well on the Red Bull as well. But let's see how that works out. It looks like Jay Henson versus Leon right now as Marine and Chalawante swap positions as well. Let's see Jay Henson round the outside, and Leon I think is going to stay ahead, but here comes Jay Henson. Oh, a little bit of corner cut there and a little bit of contact as well between both drivers. It looks like Jay Henson will get up into P4 though.
Lots of position changes there. Porchy Dude making up another position on Tasmanian Devil as they were coming into Vale there, and now he's up into 8th place. Ahead of them though, Leon and Jay Hansen. That was one heck of a battle, and also watching as Kyle there just earlier made his move on Male Gaming into Maggots and Beckett's. That was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, he did do an absolutely phenomenal job, and it was very astonishing to see that these drivers had so much confidence in the car, which is very interesting because, of course, this is the first round, as we mentioned many times, so they had a lot of confidence to go side by side there and make a move into such a dangerous spot. I don't even have that much confidence in the normal F1 2020 cars to go side by side into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, no, absolutely not, but he pulled it off really nicely there. Just figured out where the car of his opponent is going to be a little bit slower than him, and then decided to go for it, made it stick, didn't make any mistakes. So yeah, one of the best overtakes in Classic Cup already, and that's just a season opener. So these guys are putting on a pretty good show. I'm sure that they're gonna really, get to grips with this car better and better throughout the season, and then we might see even better moves.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. As we said many times, this is the first round, so these guys are just testing out these cars. Now, we did have our little practice session, but not everyone made it to that, and so I think a lot of these guys are still getting grips to a lot of these cars, especially through Cops and turn 15, I do believe it's Stowe. They're going wide, and you would think they're just going wide to take an advantage. Now, I don't think so. I think they're just trying to get used to the car. So next race and the next couple of races, as Blinn mentioned, as I mentioned, I think these guys will be a lot more comfortable, and we're going to see a lot more action on track. But look at this. We got Mel Gaming trying to make a move with Kyle. Oh, he's going to try and go for it, but Kyle does not give him the space, and Mel's been spun. Mel has been spun. Kyle, it looks like, didn't have enough room into that section of the track, and that's going to really be unfortunate for Mel. But it looks like Tasmanian Devil trying to make a move on Porchy Dude. Let's see how this works out, as Taz is going to make the move. He's going to get the slipstream from the Red Bull, and it looks like the Red Bull's going to pull to the outside because Taz has got past it up into 7th place. Is Porchy going to try and fight back? Oh, there's a little bit of contact and a little bit of slide, and Porchy has to give the position to Taz, but is he going to try and re-overtake the Red Bull? This is great racing between the two teammates. Let's see how this works out.
Oh, they're going to be side by side again into Cops there, and Portudude had to go a little bit wide there just to avoid the exit. Tasmanian Devil now drops behind them as they're coming into Maggots and Beckett's. This is going to be nice and close together there into Chapel and out onto the hangar straight now. Portudude doesn't get as good of an exit as Taz does. Here comes Taz around the outside into Stowe. This is going to be very dangerous again. It looks like Portudude is going to have to hold the inside there, but is Taz going to go for the overtake around the outside? He's thinking about it. Portudude goes super wide onto Stowe corner there, way past the curb, and now, oh, Tasmanian Devil makes a dive bomb onto Portudude, breaks off a piece of his front wing. There's more contact. Portudude almost lost the car there, and he had to give up the position. He drops back to 8th place.
Yeah, I think Taz went for the dive bomb on Portudude and gave a little bit of contact to his fellow teammate in the Red Bull. It may have not been the best move by Tasmanian Devil. I think he was thinking about going for the dive bomb and just went for it. I think he just maybe misjudged the braking zone a little bit. I'm not completely sure though, as Luke Flano must have spun, or that may have been Mel Gaming. Mel Gaming has spun, and that might be his race over as he's facing the wrong way and his car is not moving. There is a major problem with that McLaren.
Oh my god, YouTube Maride, oh, and Jay Hansen. Jay Hansen was trying to overtake him around Love Field. He decided to go onto the grass pretty much on the inside of the corner to try and overtake, and then he made a little bit of contact with the YouTube Marine, and he pretty much had a half spin there. He drops back to 6th position now. He let Kyle and Leon through into 5th and 6th, so very unfortunate, and look at that. This is now lap 21. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, I'm not sure what's going on with Danny Boy. He might have some damage or something because Chael is right on his back. He's only about 3/10 behind.
Yeah, Chalo Wolte is all over the back. That's exactly a great point to mention. The race leader is now under pressure. Danny Boy now has to defend instead of gain time. He's been kind of leading this entire Grand Prix, but now he's under pressure from Chalo Wolte. Now the gap is 1/10 of a second. This is absolutely phenomenal. The race lead on the first round of Classic Cup Group 2. Let's just see how this works out as Chalo Wolte is all over the back of Danny Boy. Where will he make the move, though?
Yeah, this will be an incredible battle. Danny Boy is losing the car on the exits of corners, and I'm feeling like maybe he's just making his tires work a little bit too much here. One thing that definitely is different with these cars is on the steering wheel, you do not get information about your delta or your tire temperatures or anything else like that. So basically, you're just driving the car by absolute feel and, you know, just feeling it out on every quarter and making sure that you're not overworking your tires. So either Danny Boy has made a mistake somewhere that we missed out and then dropped the time that he had in front of the second place, or he's starting to struggle with the car in these last few laps, and it's going to be very unfortunate if he loses the lead now after everything he's done right in this race. But we've now got a Sector 2 yellow.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think that's Luke Flano actually off the track at turn 11.
Not sure. Contact between Taz and Jay Hansen. Taz had to hold on to the car there. Jay Hansen went onto the grass into Stowe, not into Stowe, into what was it, the Cops corner, and then lost the car, came back onto the track and touched Taz, and now Taz is losing the back of his car all by himself as well. I think everybody is just really trying to get some last positions here in the dying moments of the race, and they're really over pushing their car.
Yeah, this is very interesting to see how this works out for all these guys. And yeah, like you said, they are over pushing the car. Might have a little bit of issues with the car itself, and also the tires as well. Got to remember, these tires might start going off. Of course, they're only 9 laps old, but around there actually. But they might start going off, and these drivers might start struggling a little bit. But yeah, a lot of these guys may be struggling to keep it in a straight line at the moment, as we do have Chalo Wolte all over the back of Danny Boy. That's still continuing on. But yeah, very interesting to see how this race unfolds.
And Tasmanian Devil now closing up to that one Portudude. I feel like Tasmanian... Oh, and we have a virtual safety car for Luke Flano, who's just retired on the start-finish straight. So yeah, I mean, I still don't know what happened to Danny Boy and how he's managed to get Chilawati there right onto the back of him. But Chael did just set a fastest lap as well, so he's clearly got some pace in the closing stages here. Might be that he's starting to understand the car and how to get the pace that he needs out of it. So I mean, yeah, we can't complain too much, though. It's creating an amazing show.
It absolutely is, and of course we only have 3 laps left of the Grand Prix, so we still have a very interesting race to unfold for us here today, only with 3 laps remaining of the Grand Prix. But yeah, that virtual safety car did cause a lot of these guys to bunch up quite a bit as well, so that'll be interesting to see how this works out. Oh, it's Portuguese makes a move on Taz, I think? Oh, is there still side by side? Oh my goodness, this is great battle in between both of these.
Oh, Chael is making a move on Danny Boy. They're side by side now into the loop. They were side by side, but Danny Boy making a good defensive move there and defending his first position. But now look at this. Chael is right on his back as they are coming onto the Hangar Straight here. Or, sorry, onto the Wellington Straight. Oh, he's trying to go around the outside into Brooklands and into Luffield now. Around the outside again, but it's not going to really work out there. One thing I have to mention, Danny Boy in our Brazil race, one thing that he was absolutely incredible with is defending his position, and he was doing it very, very cleanly as well. I had absolutely no complaints after that one. There was absolutely nothing I could have done. He was just positioning the car exactly where it needed to be for me not to overtake him, so that's exactly what he's doing here right now. That Porchy dude has just retired in Sector 2. Oh, and a tiny little touch from Chael there on the back of Danny Boy as they were coming in through Chapel there, but wow, this is just turning out to be absolutely incredible here.
Leon's off the track, and that might have been out for him. He's very much down some positions, and that is not working out. A lot of these guys are retiring, and I'm not completely sure what that's about, but yes, very unfortunate to see what's going on right now. Oh, and Leon's trying to take himself out of the Grand Prix, I think, and not exactly sure why he's doing that. May have just had some contact, a lot of contact I've been seeing, a lot of incidents that will be coming out a little bit later. I apologize to everyone for everyone that's racing right now. If there was some contact with everyone, we'll get it all sorted out after the Grand Prix. And just remember, everyone, that... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Joe for another move here on Danny Boy. And through the same place again. They were very, very close together. They did make a tiny little touch there, but it was nothing too aggressive. But wow, Danny Boy is just holding on to this win with everything, with the skin of his teeth. He's got... He's only got a lap and a half to hold on to it, but this could go any way. And also with Chael, he's got to be smart. He's got to be aggressive, but he's got to be smart here, because if he takes himself out, or if he takes Danny Boy out in an incident right on the last lap, I'm sure that's not what any one of them wants on their first race.
Absolutely, yeah, that's exactly not what these guys want to see this happen. But let's just see how this works out. We have about a lap to go. This is coming down to the wire. What a race opener we've seen. We've seen a lot of crashes. We've seen a lot of mistakes from all these guys. But you got to all remember that this is the first race of Classic Cup for Group 2. And all these guys are putting on a great show right now. This is coming down for absolutely what we wanted. The last lap of the Grand Prix begins now. And the battle for the lead is not yet over.
Oh, Chael just lost the back of the car there coming in through the last corner, and that led Danny Boy to get ahead by about 6/10. So now, if Chael wants to make a move, he's going to have to execute the dive bomb of a lifetime, which I don't think is going to be a very smart move here. He is closing up to Danny Boy, but it's just not going to look like it's going to be enough, especially in these cars with no DRS and no electric recovery power that you can use. So it's all down to just driving and slipstream, and Danny Boy right now still holding on to 7/10 ahead, holding on to this win. They've only got about 3/4 of this lap to go now. It's all down to this last one.
It is all down to this last one, and it is all down to that one straight, I do believe, or a mistake by Danny Boy. Let's just see how this works out. We still have about a sector to go till the last part of this race, and Jay Henson has made a move on Kyle. This is the battle for 4th place. It's also the battle for 3rd, because YouTube runs just up the track as well, so that's a great battle. But I kind of want to focus on this battle for P1 at the moment, so we're getting a nice overview of the two Red Bull and McLaren. Oh, his Chalawote goes super wide and has to cut the corner of purple sector. Actually, still for him, though. That's unfortunate, but it doesn't look like he's going to win the race. So Chalawote will stay in 2nd place, but it looks like Danny Boy will take the win.
incredible performance from Danny Boy here today. Fully deserves that one. Had to fight for it right towards the end. And I think, yeah, great performance overall.
And Danny Boy will win the first race of Classic Cup Group 2. Chalo Wote will finish in second position. YouTube Ryan, I do believe, will come home for P3. Johansson in P4. Kyle left the session, unfortunately. Not sure why. May have had a glitch there, but he will finish in P5. Felipe P6. Tasmanian Devil P7. And Jack the King rounding off the points for P8.
Yeah, so as I was saying, you know, just an incredible first race for all of these guys. Danny Boy proving once again that he's got some good pace in these classic cars. Chael Wati putting on a great performance, finishing in second place where he started as well. But then YouTube Marine and Jay Hansen, incredible performance here tonight. They each started 4 positions down from where they finished. So gaining 4 positions in a race like Britain in these sort of cars, that is definitely very impressive because it's not easy to execute. And Tasmanian Devil there getting driver of the day, coming from all the way in the back to finish, I think, in the top 5 or 6 there. So yeah, very impressive from him. But there we go, Danny Boy lifting up the cup in first place.
What a race from all our guys here today. They've done an absolutely phenomenal job, and we're just going to have to wait for who will take the championship. Danny Boy will start off it, though, as P1 comes home from McLaren. What a great race, though. Charlie Welty in second, YouTube Ryan finishing off the podium in third.
Yeah, I think this season opener definitely delivered pretty much everything we were waiting for. Good battling all around. We had a little bit of messy driving from some drivers, but, you know, it's just a first race, and as we were saying, they'll feel each other out. They'll get to grips with these cars better throughout the season, and I'm sure it will be a better performance later on. But overall, yeah, we had good battles. We had some great driving. We had some safety cars and some incidents to shake things up towards the end of the race. And wow, yeah, I'm really excited to see how the rest of this season is going to work out for Group 2.
Yeah, it will be very interesting to see how this works out. Yeah, like we said, this is just the start. Now, we did see a little bit of aggressive driving, but as we have said, this is the first round of the race, and you got to remember, everyone, that this is the first round where everyone's been in these classic cars, so there's been a little bit of issues, but hopefully we'll come back stronger at the next race. But what a race we've just witnessed here today at Classic Cup. A phenomenal race to look forward to for our championship, but that is going to be it from the British Grand Prix. What a phenomenal race. Blinn, do you have anything left to say before we round off our race here today?
I just want to say a huge thank you for having me along for this one. I definitely really enjoyed it. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Thank you to all the drivers and to everyone who was watching tonight.
All right, well, thank you so much, Blinn, for joining me in the commentary box. Hopefully we get you again in the Group 2 session. But everyone watching right now, thank you so much for watching. That was the Group 2 of Corona Classic Cup for the first round of the British Grand Prix. Join us next time for round 2 of the Group 2 session at the Bahrain International Circuit at the Bahrain Grand Prix next Thursday at the exact same time, 5 o'clock EST, 10 o'clock GMT, and if you're from Pacific Standard Time, you would be 2 o'clock PST. So, and I'll put down the time zones yet again in the description. And also, guys, if you're interested in the Classic Cup, you might lost my words there. You might want to check out the Group 1 commentary as well. We got a great commentary session with Pepsi Freak and Fabregas. They commentated the Monaco Grand Prix, so definitely go check that out. I'll put a link in the description for that video as well. But guys, that is it. Make sure to hit the subscribe and like, and I'll see you in the next one from Blinn Machine and myself, Broomhandle. We're signing off for here. Goodbye.